What is up, guys? Rick Cactus here, and today the Curse of Osiris expansion has gone live, and with it has finally come a sandbox update to Destiny 2, rebalancing a lot of the weapons, classes, and just general abilities throughout the game. And let's go over those rebalances in this video. We're going to skip over some of the UI changes and stuff like that. We're just going to focus on rebalanced weapons, rebalanced classes, and so on. So let's get started with the general changes. Firstly, there's an increase to the damage dealt to bosses from super abilities. That's right, increased damage. So if you're using your super for whatever subclass against a boss, you're going to do more damage than you previously would. That's pretty good considering supers are already doing a decent amount of damage, so again, that's even more so. In addition to that, they adjusted the output of the recovery stat so that characters with the lowest recovery totals were regenerating slightly faster. Hopefully this will make recovery not such a crutch armor perk. Like everyone was looking for armor with recovery. Hopefully this change will help reduce that slightly. Now moving on from there was some pretty big changes to grenades. Firstly, they reduced pulse grenade damage slightly and toned down the intensity of camera shake and controller rumble associated with each pulse. So that second part, that's definitely going to help in PvP, so you're not just completely oppressed by pulse grenades. Pulse grenades were definitely number one, but it was completely unarguable. But the main thing from the community was, well, should you just nerf pulse grenades, or should you buff everything else to match pulse grenades? Well, thankfully, they did the second thing. So in addition to that, they reduced the recharge rate of additional grenade charges beyond the first. Also, they normalized the recharge rate of arc bolt and firebolt grenades to match the other grenade archetypes. And then lastly, here's what I was talking about earlier, they increased damage inflicted to combatants by flashbang grenades, magnetic grenades, suppressor grenades, incendiary grenades, fusion grenades, skip grenades, flux grenades, arc bolt grenades, swarm grenades, trip mine grenades, storm grenade, firebolt grenade, and axion bolt, and lastly, scatter grenade. So they literally did buff every other grenade in the game to match pulse grenade lethality while still nerfing pulse grenades a little bit. I think this is great. This is exactly what I wanted to see. I can't believe I'm reading this actually, but now it's not just pulse grenades nerfed and then we're left with a bunch of mediocre grenades. Every grenade that I just mentioned has been buffed. That's a great thing. Alright, now let's move on to the class balance. Firstly, with Titan. Number one, they fixed an exploit allowing for the Titan's Rally Barricade to generate infinite ammo. Next, they fixed an exploit allowing players to chain Fist of Havoc abilities indefinitely. Decreased the distance traveled in the air with shoulder charge ability when it is executed without a target. That's kind of lame, but running around shoulder charging and getting to different jumping puzzles was actually pretty sweet. I don't know why they did that, but in any event, they also increased the number of solar hammers that can be thrown during the duration of Hammer of Soul super ability. That's actually a pretty big buff to Sunbreaker. Expect that to be used more, at least in PvE. Also, they extended the timer for the Hammer Strike's weaken debuff by 1 second and corrected an issue that was causing the visual effects not to be represented for the duration properly. In addition to that, the Sunspot health regeneration buff now lingers for 3 seconds after moving through a sunspot. That's a huge deal as well. And Tempered Metal and Soul Invictus no longer trigger off combatant solar shield detonation kills. So actually some pretty big buffs to the Sunbreaker again. Try it out now, it's definitely better. Moving on to the Hunter, Arc Strider Dodge now briefly breaks tracking. In addition to that, the base duration of Golden Gun is now the same for both paths. Shadow Shot now suppresses targets immediately on direct hit. Very good change there. Shadow Shot no longer tethers dropships. I don't know, okay. Also, they increase the amount of time available to fire arrows while using the Mobius Quiver upgrade for the Shadow Shot super ability. And lastly, for the Warlock, firstly, Explosive Rounds no longer receives bonus damage from Empowering Rift. Also, the Heat Rises perk no longer triggers on destructible objects. Also, the update to the Devourer perk description to correctly indicate that the ability triggers on kills. Lastly, the Nova Bomb created by the Cataclysm upgrade maintains its initial speed for longer before slowing down, so making it a little bit better. Maybe you'll see more people using Cataclysm now. Alright, now let's talk about what a lot of people are interested in, weapon rebalances. So, for general changes, firstly, they increased the base damage and reduced the precision modifier of precision auto rifles. So they won't be doing as much headshot damage, but they'll be doing more damage overall. Not sure what that change will actually mean just yet. Next, they slightly reduced the aim deflection of high caliber rounds on auto rifles and scout rifles. So the Mida and stuff like the Uriel's Gift won't be hitting as hard. They won't be flinching you as much when you're getting shot with them. That's a great change in my opinion. Next, they reduced the effectiveness of aim assist at higher ranges on scout rifles. After that, they reduced the severity of recoil on Haka high impact auto rifles. I'm really happy to read that. So for those of you who don't know, there's one Haka high impact auto rifle, maybe more with the DLC, that actually does more damage than the Uriel's Gift archetype, but shoots slower. Reducing the recoil is actually maybe going to let that weapon see play, and that's really exciting for PvP and PvE actually. Next up, hand cannon accuracy recovery now scales with rate of fire. Improved base aim assist on aggressive hand cannons. So hand cannons seem to be a little bit better now. After that, slightly increased the rate of fire time between bursts on all Omelon sidearms, so the Last Hope isn't as insane anymore. After that, slightly increased impact damage on lightweight single-shot grenade launchers. Good, they were being completely underused. Also, fixed an issue with the Tireless Blade Sword perk where players could sometimes get sword ammo from an unpowered sword attack. After that, fixed an issue where the Infinite Guard perk would drain ammo when guarding in a healing rift. After that, the Relentless Strikes sword perk no longer returns ammo on heavy attacks. When comparing sniper rifle stats, the UI correctly updates for maximum magazine values, that's good, and fixed an issue with Ambitious Assassin to make it more consistent. Moving on from there, exotic weapon changes. Number 1. Increased Fighting Lion damage and changed the Thin the Herd perk to now grant bonus ammo rather than pulling ammo from the player inventory. So if you damage multiple enemies or kill multiple enemies with that Thin the Herd perk, you're just going to get straight up bonus ammo. You won't have to just reload from your overall inventory. That's going to be a big change for the Fighting Lion that actually might make it pretty decent in PvP. We'll have to see, but that is a big buff. After that, shooting destructible objects with the Graviton Lance, Sunshot, Merciless, Sturm, and Drang no longer trigger the exotic weapon perks. And lastly, fix an issue with the Darcy's target acquired perk to make it more consistent. So the Darcy is a little bit better now as well. Moving on to armor, there was a few changes. So in general, Hunter leg armor with survivalist stat package now grants recovery. Good, good, good. Lastly, exotic armor changes. There's quite a few. Mask of the Quiet One no longer grants energy when the wearer takes damage from friendly players. That obvious change there. Shield Bash now triggers the dreaded Visage perk on Mask of the Quiet One. Good. Slightly increase the damage dealt by the ACD/0 feedback fence. Kills with the Fury Conductor's perk on the feedback fence gauntlets now show the correct icon in the kill feed. Adjusted the grenade recharge granted by Starfire Protocol to compensate for the global decrease in the second grenade recharge rate. Lastly, improved ready and stow speed on Peacekeepers. Added an additional perk to the Lucky Pants that loads a single bullet into the chamber of a stowed hand cannon whenever the player scores a precision hit with any weapon. That's a buff. That's a buff for sure on those armor pieces. Next, they reworked the Karnstein armlets in two ways. One, on a melee hit, the armlets now provide heightened mobility and recovery and highlight low health targets. Number 2, and scoring a melee kill immediately restores a significant amount of the wearer's health. That's a big buff there. And lastly, fixed an issue with the Dune Marchers, where the linear actuators perk was not triggering consistently. So there you have it. There was a little bit more changes to bug fixing and UI changes and stuff like that, but we're just going to go over in today's video those main changes. So a lot of changes there. Very happy to see the grenade buff. Definitely, that's, I think, a good thing. I'm very happy to see buffs to some of the underused classes, especially Sunbreaker for the Titan. We can definitely get some more play out of that. And some redone exotics. Fighting Lion is definitely worth testing out yet again, because that's a pretty big change to its overall abilities. And I'm interested to see if any of these changes to the weapons have a massive effect. Nothing was nerfed substantially. I'm surprised that stuff like the Uriel's Gift wasn't just outright mentioned, but hopefully this sandbox update will balance things a lot better. And so guys, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that